I had a call with a guy 2 mornings ago from the Philippines, and we met in this online Christian group that we're both in. And as we're getting to know each other, asking each other questions, he asked me, "What's your story? How did you come to God?" And I I gave him the 90-second version. We only had a certain amount of time to call, so I gave him the 90-second version, and after I said that to him, he said, "Wow, man, that's amazing. You should share that in our group. You should create a video and share it in our group." And that had a line that was really cool to hear, because leading up to that, I've been reading these two amazing books called Crazy Love and The Heavenly Man, and also certain passages in the Bible were really, really sticking out to me recently, all combining to just really calling me to be more bold with my faith, be more bold with my relationship with God. And so when he said that, I just sat there for a moment. I said, "You know what, dude? I will share it." Yeah, I just felt called to, okay, how can I be bold? And what that meant for me in that moment, what I felt called to do is share my story in a video format like this online. So you're watching this on Instagram or YouTube. What's up? And I hope this maybe is a nice listen for people. Maybe hopefully can serve as some inspiration for others. And yeah, I just felt called to put this out there. So some context about me: I'm Zach. I'm 25. I live near Seattle, Washington. I grew up near Seattle, Washington, in a beautiful suburb. And I came to God 9 months ago. So I've been at the very, very end of February 2025. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about how I saw God involved in my upbringing. I'm going to go give you guys context about what it was like growing up and how I thought about God back then. The arc of time that I started to contemplate God and think about his existence and his involvement in my life. The moment I actually came to God. And then how my relationship with God is impacting me today, which won't be that long because it could be several videos by itself. So I'll just touch on some most important parts that for me right now. And then finally what I would say to my past self who's thinking about God and Christianity, who isn't quite there yet, but it's contemplating. So first, my upbringing. If you guys see me looking down, it's because I have a couple bullet points that has just helped me guide myself on this video. Yeah, but so growing up, I had really I didn't really see God in my life. And what I mean by that is my family growing up didn't really ever talk about God. My mom, my dad, those are the people I felt closest to growing up, feel closest to today. We never really talked about God growing up. And then also when I was going to school, I went to regular public school and a public university. I never had any friends who were Christian except for two that I remember. And maybe if some others were, I didn't know. But these two close friends that I had when I was from 6 to 18, I knew they were Christian, but we never really talked about that at all. It wasn't really it was a very minor detail to me. My relationship with church, I went to church growing up with a couple times. My grandma was very, very few and far between, but I went to church a couple times growing up. I remember having experiences where I slept over at my really close friend's house on Saturdays, and on Sunday mornings I would go with his family to church. And the thing that I paid attention most to was really just having fun with the other kids there, and it was a lot of fun. But just playing Nerf guns, laser tag, any awesome activities that we were able to do when I went. And then I was really stoked on the free junk food, which was boxed cupcakes, boxed donuts, boxed apple fritters, all boxed muffins. And I just remember having such great memories of yes, I'm going to church. I'm able to eat all this junk food because my church just had that. And so I didn't really pay attention to anything about what they were saying. And if I did, it probably resonated with me for about a day. And then I just went on with my life without thinking about it again. Any sermon, any word of God, any of that. So I just wasn't really connected. So yeah, it's from years 5 to 23, I really didn't see God in my life and really never thought about him. But in that time, I've had an incredibly blessed life. I spent most of my time from ages 11 to 23 playing kendama, which if you don't know what it is, it's 3 cups, a spike, and a ball with a hole in it. And basically the goal is to bounce it on the cups and then spike it. And there's so many different things you can do with it. I played a lot. I spent a lot of my time doing that from ages 11 to 23. And I was able to, it was a very, very amazing blessing to be so into it from such a young age, continue to have such a high interest. And through that, I was able to have opportunities to travel the world, to compete in competitions, play a lot. And Also, along the way, was able to win some awards in some pro competitions. That was pretty cool too. What I want to say right here is, and I want to say this because after 23, there's that arc that I started to pay more attention to God. But one clear distinction that I look back on this amazing time that I had with Kendama, just in my life from ages 11 to 23, was a big stark difference. Was I just talked a lot of smack about people. I talked a lot of smack about people in that time, specifically from like age 15 to like 20. As I got older, it like slowly went down. But really, it's just one of the biggest differences I see in myself from before I came to God and after I came to God. And I just felt like I wanted to mention this because I know some people who are Kendama players are going to be watching this, and I just want to be like brutally honest. It was very disrespectful, and I'm not proud about it. It was a consistent sin that I had, and I sinned a lot back then. I still do. I still sin every day. And the reason why I say this too is because I was in a position where I felt like I had consistently a pretty big influence over the people I hung out with, and I can look back and see it now. Just see how their behaviors, the words they were using changed once they started hanging out with me. And of course, it's not like I was just this like totally evil person. Like I had a lot of amazing times with these people, of course, and amazing memories I've had. But looking back, it's just I influenced people and to talk a lot of smack too with people who got close to me, and not something I'm proud about. Yeah, I just wanted to fully admit that because I know some people probably know that who might know me, maybe, but I bet a lot of people don't, and something I just felt like I wanted to talk about here and repent before I go any further with my story. So let's go into the main arc of when I actually really started to contemplate God and actually start thinking about His existence. So I'm 23 at this point. At this point, I've graduated high school. I've gone through college, and I'm actually 1 year out of college at this point. And I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I just knew I spent a year just working regular jobs around Seattle, but I just wasn't sure about what I wanted to do. I just knew I didn't want to do what a lot of other people were doing, which was getting like a job off like LinkedIn, and nothing wrong with that. Just something that I just didn't really align with what I wanted to do. Anyway, during that time period of me figuring this out, I joined this online group that was very much so brought in a lot of people who really love fitness, a lot of people who actually wanted to be like online personal trainers. Not everybody, but I just joined this group because I was really into fitness and really into like training. And I actually ended up meeting like 6 people on that group who I was contacting about this guy. He said, "Hey, like I have this idea. What if we just get a couple guys from this group and move in together in this place in Florida?" And I knew I wanted something different in my life, but I moved down there. But I didn't know what it was. But long story short, I literally just moved in with these people who I'd never met in person before. Basically talked to only a couple times over a Zoom call. But I moved down there in the summer of 2023 without knowing them, without any plan. I just knew I wanted something different. I knew these guys kind of aligned more with my values, so I just wanted to join them. And through that time, I got in contact with this guy. His name's Justin. He's an online personal trainer. He's epic, really awesome dude. I gave in contact with this guy, and I met him. He was in town. He was from like New Jersey, but he's in town in Florida where we live, Clearwater, for about a month, maybe less. And then he left, and I knew him. And then fast forward a couple months. Now we're at the beginning of 2024. He came to God from like in like sometime between that point, and I kind of kept in like subtle contact with him throughout that time period, those couple months period. But I just saw a huge, massive change. I saw a huge, massive change in who he was as a person, how he was acting, and how he was talking. Just a stark difference. And the way he was acting, the way he was talking, I was just very, very intrigued. He had this I don't even know how to describe it, but this type of conviction in his voice and this type of belief in his voice that I don't know how to describe it, but I could just tell something was different. And the things that he was talking about, his visions for his life, his visions for what he wanted to do, they're a lot different than when I talked to him, was talking to him previously in that October of 2023 when I first met him. And he attributed a lot of that shift to Jesus. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is a very big shift, and I interpret it as a very positive shift. I was like, wow, he's really leveled up as a person all around. And so I got interested, and I got interested in not only him, but also people who were Muslim too. I had the opportunity to talk to 2 Muslims during that time, and what was really, really interesting to me about spirituality, the religion, it wasn't like I wasn't really thinking of like, oh, what's right, what's wrong. I was really interested in what was motivating them to do something, in their belief, in their strong conviction in their beliefs, and kind of their perspective on life. For example, this one Muslim guy that I was talking to, he's like, yeah, I just give thanks. I give thanks 5 times a day at these certain times. I'm really not sure about the practices of people of Islam, but he's just saying that, yeah, I give thanks every single day to what I have 5 times a day at these certain times. And I just thought, and I just tell from the way he's talking, he's very grounded dude, very, very positive guy. And I was just thinking, man, I can't even imagine that must bring you so much positivity in your life. No matter what's happening in your life, that must bring you some. I tell it could bring him a lot of confidence for what he's doing, a lot of assurance in himself, and of course from what he believed, what he believed that everything was going to be fine. He was very just giving appreciation to things he already had in his life, and I was like, dude, I don't do that. How would my life change if I started doing that? Where is that practice coming from? Okay, he believes in Muhammad. Oh my gosh, that's stemming from that. That's a belief. This other guy, Justin, he's turned Christian. He's also exhibiting things that I've found really, really respectful, and these traits that I'm just like, oh my gosh, these are great traits. How can I get them? I'm very interested. I found this as a trait, a common theme around Christians and people of some religions that I was talking with. So I had a lot of these conversations with these people, and just really started to pique my interest more and more and more. Along this time, I started my own business, online coaching business with Kendama. It was pretty cool. I don't do it anymore, but yeah, I just had a couple in-person events and online coaching. And through that time, this is really when I started to consciously acknowledge that, all right, there's a higher power. There's a higher power. There's got to be one, because I look outside and I'm like, I just don't understand how all of this that's happening right now can be explained by science. But we're actually more than that, is because the faith, it was the faith that I was feeling. In my entrepreneurship, I was really figuring out really quickly, faith for me was really important to have. Faith in everything, that everything was going to be fine. Faith is really important because there wasn't any blueprint for me. There wasn't any blueprint. I didn't know if anything was going to go well. I had no idea about business. I just wanted to try it, and I felt like it was more aligned. I saw other people doing it, and I was like, I want to try something. Well, what can I do this with? I had no idea if anything was going to work or not. I just had to have faith in myself and in something, but it was hard sometimes. It was really hard sometimes, and looking back, I had struggles. I had hardships. People were saying stuff. I had no skills in business, and I just wanted to do it. So it was really hard figuring stuff out. But really what kept me in it was the faith. I was like, okay, well, as long as I keep trying, so I'm going to figure something out. And so during this time, this is throughout the rest of 2024. And so we're getting really close to the time I actually come to Christ at this point. So end of 2024, it's now January 2025. I actually lost 90% of my money. I lost 90% of my money. This business that we were doing, I felt personally I was pretty impactful on the people that we were helping, but it just I wasn't skilled enough to figure out a way to make it profitable. And for me to continue doing it where it made sense for me to spend all my time doing it, of course. And actually, during that time, I only had a couple grand in my bank account, and it was January. During that time, I was like, okay, something's got to change. So I need to figure something out because it's very, very stressful. Going back to Kendama, I met this person who I really, 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 really respected. And I still respect to this day. I talk to him every week. He actually, during that time, that 2024, after I started getting really interested in God, I left this out, but I reached out to him for the first time in 2024, and I was like, hey, I know you're Christian. I'm really interested. His name's Alex. I'm really interested in talking more about this. Hopped on a call. He gets me a Bible. He gets me some other books. And honestly, after that, I started reading the Bible a little bit, stopped it, and then just went on my life, and then went on through summer, fall, winter, lost all my money, and then here I am in January. And during that time too, during this period, I met an amazing Christian family. In Kendama. We'll just call them the Bigs, I guess. Towards the end of that, in January, I think it was, the start of February, they invited me, my brother, Alex, the guy who I just talked about, who first introduced me to like actually getting me to read the Bible in any capacity in the first time in like my entire life, invited me, my brother, him, and then our other friend Lyndon out to their house to spend time with them. And I don't know what prompted them to do that. I think it was Jesus. That's the only explanation. They must have sensed that I was close to at that point I was very close to believing in God. I failed to mention this in the video, so I'm just going to talk about it here. A big part of me feeling so ready to submit myself to Christ was because I lost almost all my money. How it played out was I talked with Alex in like March 2024 about Jesus. He got me a Bible, started to read. But then I sold my first offer and I was like, oh, I can make this work repeatedly, even though I was so wrong. But I basically went on and traveled for 4 months because I thought I like cracked the code or something. And it was good experiences, but that drained my money really, really fast, which put me in a painful position, of course. And I'm so happy this happened because if this didn't happen, if I didn't lose almost all my finances, I really, really doubt I would have turned to God. I don't think I would have gotten there. Definitely not as quick, maybe even at all. I acknowledged that there was a higher power. I actually ended up even calling that higher power God in January, but I didn't really know. I wasn't really believing actually. And during that time, so that was in the works. But now it's January, and actually my brother came to Christ. My brother came to Christ, and his story is for a whole nother video. But basically, one day I woke up, and he told me, he's like, "Hey man, I just want to let you know I actually came to God yesterday. I came to God yesterday, and I thought I should tell you. My brother and I are very close. We're best friends. He's the biggest blessing in my life, and we're the closest ever. We're identical twins. So, hearing him say that, I'm living with him at this point, and I'm hearing him say that, I'm like, okay, sounds good. Very shocking to me. Fast forward about a month. So at this point, about to go to this Christian family's house, the Biggs' house. I'm talking with my brother more and more. He keeps, I seen him. He's praying. He's talking with God. I can see how his perspective, the way he's talking is different. His perspective's changing. For him, it was really helping him with his relationship. I saw that improving. It got to the point where I remember going out to a tree and I was saying, hey, God, Jesus, please. And this felt really awkward. This felt awkward and really weird to me. I never really prayed before. And I went out on a night walk, and I was just thinking, I stopped and I closed my eyes, and I was just like, Jesus, I want to believe. I'm at a point where I want to believe in you. I want to believe in God. I just need a sign. I just need a clear sign that you're there. Please show me. After that prayer, I went to God was working his ways in a financial opportunity. My brother and I are actually really fortunate enough to get invited out to do a Kanab performance in Utah. So that was great. God was definitely looking out there. Financials, definitely a big help there. But anyway, coming back from that show, my brother Nick and I were talking about just about stuff. We talk about just everything together. And he was reading this book that was by this Christian author. I don't remember the name or the author, but he was talking about eternity. He was talking about heaven. He was talking about what he was reading in that book, and the conversation he was having with one of the people in this Christian family about eternity, about heaven, in the car with me. And I never, ever, ever heard him. We've never talked about Jesus before. We've never before with each other, besides him telling me about him coming to God. We had never talked about heaven, definitely not, about experiencing what eternity will be like in heaven, how everything will be just a million times better than we can even think, and obviously just infinitely times better than we can think in heaven. All this stuff that he's talking to me about, what he's reading in this book, and what he's envisioning for heaven as well. And I was thinking, like, dude, I remember just when he was talking, I remember looking down and still listening, but honestly not really. And I just remember just being in my own thoughts and thinking, we're really having this conversation right now. We are actually having this conversation right now. This is definitely not like us. What do I know about Nick? One, I trust him more than anybody else in the world. He's not dumb. Like, this guy isn't dumb. And I just thought, wait, I think this is it. I wasn't 100% sure in that moment, but after that moment, I definitely can see it. I think that's Jesus coming to me and revealing himself to me through this. Because the conversation we were having got me thinking on such a different, like, profound level about, holy cow, like, there's heaven, there's eternity, what is also behind that? There's more behind this. Obviously, the story of Jesus, the Bible, everything. Oh my gosh, this is incredible to me. Just what he was saying, I was like, wow, that really makes me think about life in a completely different way, in a completely different perspective. in a way more positive way, really. And I just thought, okay, I think that's it. But even then, I didn't really give myself to God right there. It wasn't until about a week later where this trip that we planned finally came with this Christian family, the Biggs' house. It's me, Nick, our friend Lyndon, and then Alex. We're all connected through Kendama. We all played Kendama, but so it was a lot of Kendama playing, but a big part of that trip was really to know God. Second night there, I think we were there. I remember after playing Kendama for a long time, we sat down at night, all of us there. So it was like entire family, it was like 9 people. And I remember just thinking, having conversations. I was asking them a lot. I was asking Alex, I was asking the family, the mom, the dad, about their faith, the questions I had about Jesus. This other guy there, I'll just refer to him as Urkel. He was a family member too. And I remember asking all of them about their faith, about God, and Lyndon too, about God, and just getting to know their stories, getting to know what their beliefs were, getting to know how Jesus has shown up for them, how that looks in their life, all that stuff. Made sure to have these I really was really intentional about having these conversations. I was like, I want these conversations to happen. I want to find out more. At one point, Urkel really I asked him, I'm like, how do I know? How do I know if I'm like ready? I think it was a question like something like that. I basically was thinking, how can I be sure? How can I be sure? It was something like this. And Urkel read a passage in Galatians to me. And it's Galatians 5:22. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law. And he asked me basically if I had more of those in my life since contemplating God, since really considering his existence or not, and really just praying for a sign. And I said yes. And at that point, I was just very, very ready to commit. At that point, I was very ready to commit. After having these conversations with these people who are outstanding people, who I see in their actions, not just in their words, but their actions, how they're behaving as people, what they're doing, and all of these things over these past couple months, especially this in-person experience, I was really ready to commit, and it was a great experience. And this is when Urkel was like, "Was there anything stopping you from getting baptized right now?" And I said, "No, let's do it." And so that's when it was an amazing experience. I was able to get baptized right then and there, along with my friend Lyndon, and along with one of the kids from that family. So that was really, really awesome. And that's how I came to God. And it was a lot of the having a conversation, being interested before, but having a conversation with everybody. But that also, I didn't even want to have that conversation until I had this experience of me building my faith, or when I started my entrepreneurship journey, when I first started thinking about, okay, through that, there is something there. I'm curious. My curiosity built, and I kept getting signs. God was bringing me closer to him through all of that. And at this moment, just seeing people in person who I really respected, who were Christians, it was just that's what did it for me. So I came to God right then and there, and ever since then, that was a really, really amazing moment in my life. And now's the point in the video where I'm going to talk about how it's impacted how coming to God has really impacted my life up to this point. So it's been 8 months, and this can be multiple videos on its own. But one thing I want to say is actually one of my favorite verses in general in the Bible that I've read so far. But it's Matthew 6:25-27. Therefore, I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothes? Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? And then verse 33, I'm skipping a little bit, but verse 33 says, but seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. And what these things that they're referring to is what we'll eat, what we'll drink, what our clothes will be. And the reason why I really like this passage is because it's a really big emphasis on do not worry. In the Bible, it's like the section is called do not worry. And I used to be a person who, some instances, sometimes I don't really think about a lot of things. I'll just like go and do and just see through action. That's how mostly I do things before. But honestly, I could see a big contrast in my life of before. I remember like sometimes I would really overanalyze stuff and just think about all these different endings and get stressed out looking back like pretty easily compared to maybe now. And I feel like even though I always felt like I've always been more on the chiller side, but just having the certainty that everything will be fine no matter what. and that as long as I trust in God, that this is the right path that he has for me. That even if I'm going through a struggle, even if I'm going through a hardship, even if I go through something unexpected, that because I have God, I know everything will be okay. I love the reference Jesus makes there, where he says, do the animals worry about these things? I give them these things. Why are you worrying about these stuff? I can provide this for the animals automatically. For you, imagine what I'm going to provide for you, the people I made in my image. It's amazing, and it's an amazing thing. It gives me a lot more certainty, a lot more peace of mind, and really looking back at my friend Alex, how he acts, and looking back at how the Christian family acts, and also going back even further to Justin, my friend, who I saw become Christian. What I just said alone, and I've heard that what I just said alone is just such a great. It makes so much sense about the way he was talking, how much certainty he was saying about his vision in his life, and his attitude towards life, how it starkly changed from maybe uncertainty, negativeness I saw from him, maybe in bits and pieces, to 100%, like this is all fine, like this is going, even though something he didn't expect that happened, like he was just going full on through, and how he was expressing himself, the certainty I heard in his voice, and everything makes so much sense just after reading that one passage. I felt that was the power of him putting himself to Christ back then as well. And so I was just like, okay, it comes full circle. I see it now, and it's one thing to read it, but it's one thing to read it, of course, but another thing to really trust in God and really work on my relationship with him every day. And that's what I've been doing the past 8 months. And yeah, it's been really helpful there, that no matter what happens, like I know I'm going to be totally fine. Like God has a plan for me. I'll say also too, the 3 things that are the best things in my life in developing my relationship with God right now are prayer, reading scripture, reading the Bible, and then just talking about him with other people. Just talking about him. So for me, that means like going to church, going to a men's group, and then having I go on a weekly call with another men's group, which is all the guys from that one trip that we did at the Biggs' place. All the guys we meet every single week. We've not missed a week. We barely missed any weeks, maybe like 2 in the past 8 months for meeting. So that's been very consistent. That's helped me tremendously with my faith and developing my relationship with God. From diving into these things more consistently, it's been a lot more easier for me to just naturally hear God and also to just have him dictate my actions more and more and more. If I could tell my younger self, not so much younger, 23 years old, when I was curious and just interested in who God is, what he does, I would just encourage that Zach to just look for people who are actually living the life that you are curious about, which is having a relationship with God. Because I would just tell them it's easy to find something when you look for it. It's almost impossible to find something when you're looking for it. So up until that point in my life, I never looked for people who were Christian. I never looked to talk with people who are Christian. And maybe that's why that I only had like 2 people in my life who I knew were Christian. Did I know anybody else who were more Christian? Like, yeah, probably, but I just didn't know because I wasn't looking. And I would tell that Zach to, just go the first step. Like we all have it. If you're watching this video now, this is going to apply to you because you're watching this video. But yeah, just look up online, like maybe see what you can find out about other people's testimonies, what other people are thoughts on Jesus, on God, on religion, on Christianity. Look at like a whole, take in all that, just look online, see what you can find. Type in your questions online, but going a step further than that, like if you can connect with other people, other Christians online, and start maybe asking them questions about their faith. And one more step up is, if you can, I would say, hey, consider going in person to your local church, going in person to just any way, if you know any Christians in your life, consider inviting them to hang out, have a coffee, something like this. I wouldn't tell them coffee. I don't drink coffee, but something like have a water, and just maybe see if you can set a time to really get to know them and ask them questions about their journey with God, their faith, how they came to Jesus, what that looks like in their lives. And any question you have, I would tell Zach, like, hey, ask me any question you have, and through that you'll learn so much. You'll learn so much, and just have more clarity on what you want, whether this aligns with you or not. Like whether this feels right, feels like a good fit for you. And you'll see it in what they say, and then in their actions as well. And And you'll learn so much by doing it like that. You'll get closer to your conclusion on everything the more you are curious. And so that's my story. I'm very young in my faith, only 10 months, but it's been absolutely it's been the best decision of my life. And I know it's going to be the best decision I'll ever make. So I hope this video was helpful in any way. Hopefully it caused some inspiration to some of you. Maybe it was just nice to listen for some of you. Either way, I will see you in the next video. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. See ya.